I am happy to have on the phone waiting with me is Nick Palmiciano. He is the founder and CEO of Ranger Up streetwear and mixed martial arts apparel. They have a whole sorts of neat products lined up, which you can view on their website, which is rangerup.com. And good morning, Nick. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you? How's the weather out there in North Carolina?
Awesome, just like it always is.
Okay, the South gets a little too humid for me in that neck of the woods. Let's do a quick rundown of name, rank, unit, time and service, a little bit about a background before we get into the nitty gritty of Ranger Up.
Sure. I was commissioned an infantry officer in 1998. My first unit was in Friedberg, Germany, with 136 Infantry, and at the time, we spent a bunch of time in the Balkans. September 11th kicked off. The world changed, and all of a sudden, that wasn't that was not the same mission that it once was. I found myself on alert a couple of times to deploy. Ultimately, I had to go to the captain's career course and was attached to 4th RTB while I was out there.
And that RTB is Ranger Training Battalion.
Correct,
Yep.
the Ranger Training Brigade out at Fort Benning, Georgia. We did a lot of supplementary missions, training guys that were about to go to Iraq. Right about this time, I was married, and we made the decision to get out because my ex-wife wanted to have kids, and found myself at Duke University, going to business school. Absolutely hated it, and in order to stay connected to the military, I volunteered with the ROTC there to do classes on small unit tactics as well as military combatives. I've been training in mixed martial arts, boxing, etc., pretty much since I was 11 years old. And I found it to be very useful while deployed, so that you can, control crowds and have confidence to be able to control situations without having to even think about using lethal force.
Sure, it lets you take advantage of your opponent's weaknesses and exploit their advantages at the same time.
Yeah.
Before we get into a lot of details with the where and I know there's a strong background with mixed martial arts, and that's part of Ranger Up, and we are going to talk about that. But one other thing that you were actively involved in over the past several weeks, and it was something that I was talking about on my program last week, and we shared probably a lot of the same types of information through various electronic media. Bob Strait is a D-Day veteran. He was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and in March 14th, the home of he and his wife, Nancy Strait, was invaded by several thugs, I will call them that politely, and beat them, brutally violated her. She died the day after the attack, and unfortunately Bob Strait passed away just this past Friday. I know you had been in touch with the family, and you had launched a major campaign to rally support for the family, as well as put pressure on the city to establish a task force, because they've caught one guy, but they think there's probably 3 or 4 other guys out there. I just wanted to hear your thoughts, because I know you had talked to the family and you've been engaged in that terrible incident.
Yeah, absolutely. What was striking to me is that, Ranger Up really is sort of a hub of the military community. We get information almost always before it hits any media at all. And the Bob Strait attacks happened almost a month prior to us really getting any information about it, and that was shocking to me. And the attacks are just so appalling. A D-Day vet has suffered through all measures of sacrifice for the country. Spent his whole life working hard, never took any government aid. Turned down the Purple Heart because he didn't feel like his wounds were grievous enough. This is just a great American.
Yeah, I mean, he met his wife on Thanksgiving Day or on a blind date.
That's right.
Yeah.
He returned from the war, was set up on a blind date on Thanksgiving 1946, and 11 days later they were married. Just a great story, a great guy, and apparently, no one cares. The media, the mainstream media did not give it one national level story. It did get local, Tulsa coverage, but never got elevated. Yeah. And it's at the same time, that some of these other high-profile incidents have occurred, and in no way, and I want to be really clear about this, in no way am I trying to detract from the pain that other families are going through right now, or saying that they shouldn't have national attention, or I'm not getting involved in that at all. But this is a man and a family that have sacrificed for the country. They're a national treasure, a national hero, and we should care. The national media should be telling this story. And even now, the video that we made got 150,000 views in 4 days. It was on, the most watched videos. It was on the front page of Reddit.com, and still can't get even a response from anyone in the mainstream media.
Well, we're hoping we can get some of the people listening in our audience to, if they're not going to respond to the media, I'm hoping that we can use this to encourage you, our listening audience, to contact the mayor of Tulsa and urge him to set up a task force to identify, apprehend, and bring those responsible to trial. The police believe there's 3 or 4 people that are responsible for this attack. They do have one in custody. He's charged with first-degree murder. I'm sure that's going to go up to 2 counts of first-degree murder now that Bob Strait has passed. And it's easy to figure out. Go to the City of Tulsa, Oklahoma's website. There is a mayor's page and a contact the mayor, and there is a template there. And you can
Absolutely.
Share your thoughts
there. I
there.
can tell you that we have sent, probably, certainly hundreds, if not thousands, of emails to him as the Ranger Up community, Ranger Up, and its fans.
Right. And
to my knowledge, certainly no one internal to the company. To my knowledge, none have been answered. We are very quickly getting to a point where we are going to have to take it to another level, meaning, a physical rally on location, or some other extensive media, because, when Bob passed away, his daughter Lenora called me, and thus far, the military community has raised a lot of money for the family. They expected that their expenses associated with the medical expenses.
Hey Nick, I'm gonna interject on that, because later on in the program, I am gonna bring information about the Nancy Strait and Bob Strait Support Trust that's established there, and just because time is finite, and you and I would willingly go hours discussing at great detail about what we could do to support the Strait family.
Okay, let me just cut to the chase now. Long story short is we are raising a good amount of money. I'm confident we'll hit those goals. But what we really need to push on as a veteran community and greater, and as a patriotic American community, is we need to get some pressure on the mayor, some pressure on Congress, on whoever that you can possibly think of, to put some resources behind finding these people.
I agree 100%. And fortunately, we are in Sacramento, which is the capital of the biggest state in the union, and I believe that there's several members of our audience that are probably fairly well connected, and I think we'll continue to carry that message forward. Nick, what we're going to do real quick, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty about Ranger Up and the small empire that you've built there in North Carolina, because that is of great benefit and interest to veterans that are coming up here. And so we'll get into that here. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be coming back. You are listening to Veteran Radio. And Veteran Radio is welcoming a new sponsor to the program, Outback Steakhouse. Visit your local Outback Steakhouse and give their juicy signature sirloin and succulent lobster tail paired with a dressed baked potato, or give the steak choice and shrimp dinner. You get a signature sirloin and your choice of grilled shrimp on the Barbie, or classic coconut shrimp plus 2 freshly made sides, all for one down under price. Your Outback has the perfect gifts for moms, dads, grads, and you. And with Mother's Day around the corner, you can purchase $50 in gift cards and receive a free $10 bonus card to use on your next visit. Outback Steakhouse starts fresh every day to create the flavors that you mates crave. New creations and grilled classics are made fresh daily using only high-quality ingredients sourced from around the world. Visit Outback.com to find your local Outback. Now open at noon on Sundays. It's always fresh in the Outback.
Woodland Motors, your one-stop shop for sales, parts, and service. Just 5 minutes from the airport, 10 minutes from Davis, and 15 minutes from downtown Sacramento, right off I-5 and Route 113. May is GM's Military Appreciation Month with special additional discounts for active, reserve, or retired service members and their spouses. For a limited time, get 0% for 60 months or up to $5,000 off a new 2012 Chevy or GM truck. Get up to $5,000 off a new 2012 Chevy Malibu. In the market for something pre-owned, Woodland Motors has a huge red tag markdown on select certified pre-owned GM vehicles and other quality imports and domestics. View the entire inventory online at woodlandmotors.com. Woodland Motors participates in Miles, the military installment loan and educational services that will put you in a new car or truck that fits your budget and suits your needs. Woodland Motors, 1680 East Main Street in Woodland. Call toll-free 800-244-8022. Woodland Motors, your one-stop shop for sales, parts, and service. woodlandmotors.com.
You are listening to Veteran Radio. My name is Max Ramsey. We are on the air with Nick Palmiciano, the founder and CEO of Ranger Up, streetwear, mixed martial arts apparel. Visit their website at rangerup.com. Nick, you and I had talked about this. Ranger Up had started as something kind of like a hobby part-time. Share a little bit about what you were doing and how this started when you left the service and how it snowballed into something awesome.
Sure. Well, like I was saying before, I was at graduate school, and I was volunteering with the ROTC kids there. And, they were always complaining that, if you are, extremely liberal, you can go to about 2,000 sites. You can buy, communist T-shirts, Che Guevara T-shirts, anti-military T-shirts. But if you're pro-military, all you really have is, skulls and snakes and death from above and, just extreme graphics. And, I thought they had a good point. So, as a hobby, and initially just for the ROTC kids, I was teaching mixed martial arts to. I started figuring out how to screen print some T-shirts, and in the early days they were just kind of funny T-shirts that outlined elements of military lifestyle, and put up a little website. And I started getting all of these emails from Iraq and Afghanistan saying, "These are awesome. Thanks for doing this. It means a lot to see somebody out there actually gets us." And so I just started putting more effort into it. Well, I at no point at this phase am I thinking someday this is what I'm going to do for a living.
Did you as this started to evolve, did you end up having to develop a grand scheme, like a business plan, and find out ways to explore different ways to fund it and get things going? I mean, this it seemed to happen by accident, but you seemed to make a conscious decision at the same time.
It was a little of column A and a little of column B. What ended up happening is it was my way of connecting to the military community, and I truly believe that no matter who you are, you could be, you could have never deployed, or you could be a Medal of Honor recipient, who served 30 years. When you leave the military, it is bittersweet. On the one hand, you're like, okay, I don't have to deal with some of the, the BS that we all enjoy complaining about when we're in the military. But on the other hand, you're severing that constant tie with your brothers and sisters in uniform, and it's harder to deal with than I think people realize before they leave.
That's true.
And
now,
so,
I wanted to, I don't mean to truncate you, Nick, but we're working on about 3 minutes left in our time here,
sure.
And
Sure.
so I want to be able to fire some things out for some of the other vets that are out there.
But let me kind of cut right to the chase. Originally, I funded it completely by myself. I funded it with money that I saved. I funded it with credit card debt and that sort of thing. And my personal recommendation to entrepreneurs is to do that as long as it makes sense.
Right.
And because once you take on debt, it really becomes like a set of handcuffs. In our company history, we've only taken one loan, and that was in 2009.
And what do you use that loan for? Build a facility?
I used the loan to build up inventory and to be able to take some risks with some digital marketing and different product categories.
How many items do you move a year now? Because you've grown from a shop now, and you're a small business owner that also makes you an employer. You have people working for you, and how many you grew from something that was basically in your basement to now you're a standalone enterprise. How many items do you move a year now?
I can't even tell you offhand, but well over 100,000. We have a 10,000 square foot warehouse, 10 full-time employees, another 4 part-time employees, and we're growing. We're up, for example, 67% this year over last year.
And then now that you're also an employer, I know you probably receive plenty of resumes. You've hired guys. Some of them may have served, some of them maybe not. You've generated a series of videos on your blog, which can be connected through rangerup.com, about preparing veterans for employment. What are some of the quick 2 or 3 things that you want to hammer home for a vet that's trying to position themselves in the private marketplace?
Absolutely. The first thing that you need to realize is that nobody cares. And I don't mean that in a harsh way, but you have to think about it like all people are self-interested. Even though I feel that the country owes veterans something, an employer doesn't see it that way. An employer wants to see that somebody can do the job. So you can't go into it with an attitude that you deserve a job or that people are going to make allowances for you because you're a veteran. You need to prove to them that you are, in fact, the best candidate.
Yeah, the business doesn't care. Go ahead, keep going.
They don't care.
Yeah.
The second thing is that you need to train and prepare for getting a job the same way you've trained and prepared for anything else in your life. Like, you don't show up for Ranger School having never done a road march. So don't show up at an interview having never practiced a professional interview. Don't show up having not thought about the stories that you are going to answer the basic questions with. I mean, everyone's going to ask you, tell me about yourself. Everyone's going to say, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Tell me about a time you failed. These are questions that every employer is going to ask. So if you've never thought about it before, you're going to be in rough shape.
That's right.
When you're doing your resume and when you're going into an interview, you need to think about the STAR format.
Sure.
Situation, task, action, result. Most people just tell a story. They just answer the question and they feel good about themselves because they answered. But they don't advance their cause. What people really want to see is a history of success, and that is completely based on the actions you took and the results of your action.
That's a great way to hammer this home and to start capping off this segment. We're running into time here. Nick, hit it again one more time. We have STAR, situation,
task, action,
result. And
the part that people always miss are actions and results. They focus on the broader situation, but they never really get into what did they do to create the success.
That's awesome. That's Nick Palmiciano from Ranger Up. Check out their website at rangerup.com. He's got a blog there with videos to help you, the vet, get things all situated for your employment. We're going to take a quick break. You are listening to Veteran Radio.